And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Small craft advisories for the south coast here, 25 knots out of the northwest tomorrow, 7-foot seas. Lighter winds as you go up the coastline here, northwest at 20 and then west-northwest 10 to 15 knots on the north coast. Light variable winds over the central and northern inside waters of the panhandle here with northwesterlies at about 15 for Clarence Strait. And then for Sunday, northwest winds 15 to 25 knots there along the coast with seas anywhere from 6 to 7 feet, a little bit lower up here where it's 15 knots, 4-foot seas there on the north coast. Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, north winds at 10, Stevens Passage northwest at 10, and northwest winds 15 knots for Clarence Strait. Prince William Sound, eastern North Gulf Coast, variable winds tomorrow, light variable wind conditions for those areas with seas 2 feet in the Sound and 4 to 5 feet there along the North Gulf Coast. Southwest 15 for the Barren Islands, south winds at 20 for the Kamishak Bay area and Cook Inlet, south wind 10 to 15 knots with 2 to 3 foot seas. And for Sunday, Cook Inlet, south winds 10 to 15 knots, 3 to 4 foot seas, southeast at 20 there for Kamishak Bay, south at 20 for the Barren Islands, southeast 15 for the western North Gulf Coast, and winds stay light and variable for the eastern coast and Prince William Sound. Kodiak Island, south to southwest tomorrow at 20 knots with 4-foot seas. Got some good south winds here for the Alaska Peninsula, 20 to 35 knots with seas anywhere from 3 to 11 feet, and southeast at 20 for Bristol Bay. And then on Sunday, Bristol Bay, small craft advisories, southeast at 25 knots with 4-foot seas. And for the Alaska Peninsula, south to southeast winds 30 to 35 knots. Otherwise, Kodiak Island winds will be south at 20. And for the Fox Islands tomorrow, for Unalaska Island, gale warnings, south winds 35 knots. Small craft advisories there for Unmak Island westward to Atka, including Amchitka Island here, looking at 25 to 30 knot winds there from the south and southwest with seas out here approaching 20 feet. And for the western Aleutians, northwest winds 30 to 35 knots. And then for the day on Sunday, western Aleutians, west winds 25 to 30 knots with seas 14 feet. And Adak and Atka, southwest 25, Winnemac Island, southwest 25, seas 8 to 12 feet, and south winds 25 to 30 knots for Unalaska Island. And for the Kuskokwim Delta coast tomorrow, gale warning, south winds 35 knots, seas 9 feet. Otherwise, small craft advisories for the Yukon Delta coast and St. Lawrence Island for southeast at 30, and for Norton Sound, winds will be southeast 25 knots, south at 30 for the Pribilofs with 15-foot seas, southeast 30 for St. Matthew Island with 13-foot seas. Then for the Sunday time frame, we're looking at south winds at 30 knots with 12-foot seas for St. Paul and St. George Island, southeast 25 for St. Matthew Island, and small craft advisories are south winds 25 or 25 to 30 knots for Norton Sound, St. Lawrence Island, and the southwest coast. Up to the north, gale warnings there for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, west winds at 35 knots tomorrow, and then those come down to small craft advisories there around Prudhoe Bay, central Arctic coast, west at 15, south 15 for the western coast, and for the Chukchi Sea, we've got east to southeast winds at about 15 knots. And for the day Sunday for the Chukchi Sea, southeast winds 20 to 25 knots, so they'll see 7 to 9 feet. Otherwise, for the remainder of the Arctic coast, winds will be southeast at 15 knots with 3-foot seas.